What's going on, guys? So today I'm going to show you how I make pie crust. And then you can use this for any type of pie you want to make later on. This will be your building block. Of course, you can go to the store and buy your own pie crust, but if you want to make one from scratch, I personally endorse it's a great pie crust. So everything here is all you're really going to need to make this pie crust. 2 cups and 2 tablespoons of flour. I know it's a weird measurement. It is what it is. Ice cold water, shortening and butter, and then a teaspoon of salt. So the first thing we're going to do is, lower this back down. We're going to mix the flour and the salt. Now this part won't take long, obviously, because they're just dry ingredients, but showing you every step matters. All right, from here, now, it depends on how you like your pie crust. From what I've noticed with me and my family is, you have 3 ways to go. You can do more flavor, which you just use 2/3 of a cup of butter, which is a lot of butter, but it makes the pie crust taste really good. Or you can do 2/3 of a cup of shortening, which gives it that nice flaky texture that most pies have. I like to do option number 3, which is just split each one in half. So do 1/3 of a cup of butter and 1/3 cup of shortening. Now, one thing that is a problem with shortening, besides getting this thing open, is it's kind of hard to cut and get in there because it's not like cold butter. So using the measurement outside of here, right here we want 1/3 of a cup. Up there. Drop that in, and then you can store this, or you can make more pie. It's always a good option. And then here we want 1/3 of a cup, which is all this right here. Now with the butter, when you add the butter in, you're not just going to drop it in as is. You want to, because it's cold butter, it won't clump right. So you want to cut this down just into pieces like that. And then, of course, you got finger licking good fingers after that.
Gross. Who licks butter?
Only the best lick butter. All right. Well, that mixes. My hands cleaner. What we're looking for here is we want to start to clump up. And as it starts to get clumped up, we're then going to add our water. We're going to add 6 to 8 tablespoons of water. So we got it about clumped the way we want it. So you're going to stop. You're going to come over here. Just take cold water. And you're going to add it in, and then you just keep mixing. You want to do it slowly. You don't want to wet it too fast. So anyway, we added around 6 to 8 tablespoons of water, and this is what we've got so far. So now we're going to collect all this. Make sure you get all the good stuff off.
Are your hands clean?
They are. I just washed them. Let this come off. There we go. Lifty-loosey. Righty-tighty. Always remember. Okay. So you want to throw a little bit of flour down, because it can be a little sticky. And then we're going to gather all of this into a ball. Like so. It doesn't have to be perfect, because we're just gonna cut it in half. And you always gotta have a big old ridiculous knife. About half.
Or a bench scraper would work too.
It probably would. But I'm a big guy and I like a big knife. All right. So now we're just gonna make some discs really quick. 2 of them. So, don't worry too much about that. And then I double coat them because we're going to wrap them in plastic, saran wrap, and then we're going to put them in the fridge for about 45 minutes. And you can leave them in longer, like if you don't want to use them right away, you can leave them in longer in the fridge. You just have to make sure before you take them out to use them, you need to take them out and thaw them for a bit. Otherwise, when we get to the next step later, they won't roll correctly and they'll break apart too easily. So there's one.
How long does it take to thaw?
About an hour, I would say. About an hour. It might take a little bit longer depending on temperature and stuff like that, but you just got to feel for them. You want a soft, you want it to where it's pliable, and you can, when you roll it, it's not cracking or breaking. So we're going to take these and put them anywhere if I had room in my fridge. And then 45 minutes, I'm going to roll it out onto the plate and I'll show you how. All right, so our pie crust has been in the fridge for about 45 minutes. And again, to clarify, you don't have to make your pie after 45 minutes. You can keep it in there longer. You just got to make sure when you take these out, you have to let them get back to room temperature before you try to roll them out. So now this recipe makes 2 crusts. So you can put one of these can be like a pumpkin pie, something that you just fill without a cover, or you can use the other part to actually cover over the pie. So it's up to you. So we're gonna add a little flour. Let's put this aside. I like to flour my rolling pin, make it easier. Now this doesn't have to be perfect, because as you can see, the shortening and the butter kind of make it crack. You just kind of want to be easy with it though. And then when we put it into the pie dish, we're going to reconnect these cracks. Because when you start to bake it, it's all going to be one cohesive unit in the pie crust. So don't worry about it, like getting these little chunks here. Yeah, sometimes the shortening works a little too well, makes it a little too flaky, but that's okay. You'll see why in a moment when I put it in there. I'm going to trim the edges, and then I can add those edges into these missing parts where it's needed. See, look at that piece right there. Being a funny guy. All right. So now we have our pie plate right there. Get some spray when we bake. And you're just going to go some non-stick. Bring this over here. So now here comes sometimes this is the hard part. Like it hasn't, this one in particular hasn't been, didn't keep together too well. So, like I said, if parts of it come off, don't worry about it. Because we can just take these pieces like so. You can just kind of build, you can build up the rim here. Like this. And also if you're trying to use the other part to put over, if you're trying to put a cover on this pie, then I mean this part doesn't even really matter in the long run. But like if you're trying to make a pumpkin pie, it doesn't really matter because you're gonna fill this thing up to the brim with pumpkin. So anyway, and just like that, the bottom portion of our pie is good to go. All right, so here's that second part of the pie crust, the other half. So this can go on top of another pie, or it can be another bottom for another pie. That's what's kind of nice about this recipe. It makes two. So Thanksgiving time, 2 pumpkin pies or 1 apple pie. So you can kind of do the math on that. Anyway, if you guys like that, you know, make sure you go down and like and subscribe. And if you want to see what I do with this top part, you check out the next video where I'm making an apple pie. Anyway, thanks for watching.